Hello, everyone. Welcome to the best and worst of Walt Disney World. I am your host, Rhino Clavin. In today's episode, we're going to be telling you our best tips to keep your vacation as inexpensive as possible. And to help me with this discussion, we've got one Miss Michaela Porter. Hi. Although I guess you're Mrs. Michaela Porter, since you're husband to the one and only Stephen Porter.
Oh, hi.
He's pretending he can read. And then in the back, we've got Craig Williams, the man who makes it happen. We didn't get ahoy today. It's usually his go-to catchphrase. He's like the captain. Anyway.
Ahoy, ahoy.
There we go. Okay, so we kind of chatted, and as a group, we came up to some of these tips that we thought could kind of help you save money for your trip. Like I said, make it as inexpensive as possible. And so we're gonna order these. So I'm gonna start with the ones that it's gonna go from the ones that'll save you the least amount of money to the most amount of money. We feel like. So starting with the first one, we think that packing is key. So there are some things you're gonna want to like bring with you that you're not gonna want to buy at the parks, or at least buy at like a local Target or a department store or something like that. Department store.
Yeah, Disney does a good job of marking up some of the essential items that you'll need. So it's good to just have them with you. It stinks sometimes that you have to pack a bag because some of these things you might not realize you need until you have them.
Oh, no. See, my philosophy is I got to always have that backpack in the park now. And sometimes, yes, I hate carrying it. However, here's what I put in that backpack. In the summer, I always has a poncho or a rain jacket. I always have an extra battery charger for my phone. I always have my sunscreen to reapply so that my fair skin does not become burned and crow's feet. And I have my reusable water bottle in there because I ain't paying $3.50 for water. And then my sunglasses with their case and breath freshener.
What?
Breath freshener.
I never. Okay. I think along with the poncho, packing a raincoat is great too, because I don't like to feel like I'm in a big
I hate
bag.
ponchos, really.
Yeah. So raincoats, not only are they more comfortable, but they'll also keep dry, and you'll save.
If you buy like the $1 or $2 raincoat, then you can throw it away when you're done and be just that wasteful
raincoat. Where are you going to get that?
Target.
Yeah, it's not going to be good, but the poncho I'll agree on. There's dollar ponchos that, that's two very different things. But with that being said, there are some supplies you can get that are more on the disposable side. So let's say you don't want to take them back home with you. Don't feel bad if you just have to throw them out. Yeah, it's waste, but you're going to waste more if you buy that product on Disney on Disney property for 3 times the amount, and then you feel like you have to keep it because you spent that extra money on it.
And just a tip on that: ponchos in Florida, we're all aware. We were all worked for these theme parks. When there's even the slightest drop of water on them and you fold that bad boy back up, it is not going to smell good at all when it's done, because mold grows lightning fast here. Michaela, now you did a video recently where you were talking about things that you are essential to put in a bag. Did I miss some stuff in here?
Well, I always have an umbrella because I don't have a rain jacket and I don't like ponchos, so I always have an umbrella. But yeah, like hand sanitizer, breath mints, like you said, those are all things that you could buy in the park, but they're going to be like triple the cost. So if you're just well prepared beforehand, it'll save you a lot of money.
Plus, whenever my hands are touching the poles and rides, they're always gross. So I always have those Lysol wipes.
I feel like I go through a bottle of hand sanitizer every time I set foot on Disney property.
Every time we go through even the touch points, like where you put your finger, Michaela's like hand sanitizing with 2 fingers
I'm getting my hand sanitizer out as my magic band is turning green.
Let's just remember that hand sanitizer only kills 99.9% of germs that it's able to kill to begin with.
All right. So Craig also actually brought up a good one here too when it comes to packing that you want to maybe think about. For me, my thing is leave some space in the case. You want to bring back a souvenir, but you don't want to pay for another check bag or something like that. If you flew or if you drove, you don't want to be the guy who's now got to ride with a bag on his lap the entire way back. But Craig brought up one similar to that where he was saying the souvenirs. I don't know why I put this in packing, but I did.
Yeah, I mean, there was a whole lot of nonsense before we started recording this, so that's probably why.
I'm just going to make it a new thing. It's a new thing. Souvenirs. I didn't say how many tips we have for you, so I don't care.
There we go. Yeah, souvenirs. So this can be either for people who are our age or buying for kids, older people, any people at all. You can get to the destination and you can spend Disney prices on what they set for their products. But to give an example, when I went to Disneyland last time with my wife, she wanted Disney themed shirts to wear while she was there. She could have waited until we could have went to Walt Disney World and purchased some. We could have waited till we were out in Disneyland. She could have bought more, but she ended up only paying like $20 to $25 for t-shirts and tank tops on stores like TeePublic and Etsy, whereas their unique designs a lot cooler than if she would have went to Disney and bought a mass-produced item for almost double the cost. So you can save money ahead and you can still feel good. And then you're also getting to use it while you're on the vacation. I mean, there are some things you can only get while you're there that it's because I can't get this ahead of time. It won't replicate the feeling of getting this one thing here and having it branded as Walt Disney World. But for a lot of the other things, you can find ways around it. Buy plushes at the Disney store ahead of time before you go to Walt Disney. I'm not sure if that says it. Buy the knockoff.
No, it
plushes.
does. No. I went to the Florida Mall the other day. All the plushes there were $10. And I was like, and they were big plushes. And I was like, holy smokes, that's like $30 at the park. So that is a good tip right there. And also, I like the idea of if you make one of, like with Kylie, where she wants to have that shirt and that unique experience, it can kind of get you excited for the vacation too. If you maybe like want to make something, Michaela and I talked about, maybe we have to bring back the arts and crafts and make our own ears at some point.
We should.
The next one is something that I definitely do, and this is putting snacks and packing like lunches and food to bring with you in the park. It's tough sometimes because you're like, well, I don't want to bring stuff that needs to be refrigerated, but I'll tell you, I always have like a granola bar. I have these like little peanut butter granola clusters I bring with me. Like I said, I always have my reusable water bottle, and I find that there are times where I'm like, oh, I want to eat, and sometimes it's just the mental thing of wanting to eat where I just have that snack and I'll be fine for a little bit more. You're going to save a lot because you're not just buying a random thing here, random snack here.
And I also don't want people to think that saying, oh, packing a snack or even packing a lunch means, oh, don't dine at Disney. It's like, we're not saying you can still have your lunch and your dinner or your breakfast or whatever at a sit down or at a whatever. But the little snacks that you have throughout the day, like if you get a Dole Whip and a churro and a pretzel and all these little things that you just think like, oh, it's like $6, that like slowly adds up, especially when you multiply that times a family of 4 or 5, you know.
Also, I find that depending on what I like to do is I'll bring like you could bring carrots or something like that. It's going to be stuff that is especially vegetables related stuff for you'll be surprised what an impact it can have on your mood too, because it's not just like, I'm not knocking the food. Like I said, my journey through a theme park is usually food and beverages and stuff. But sometimes I've noticed when we go on these longer trips that I'm like, when was the last time I had a green vegetable or something like that? I think like you could put some of that in there and make it through the first like third of the day with that sort of stuff, and then save it all for like lunch or dinner or something like that. Like, invest in where it needs to be invested.
Why spend $60 for a filet mignon at Le Cellier when you could just cook it in your hotel room on a hot plate and then carry it in your pockets all day?
Yeah. Just cut it up.
Exactly what we were going for. Perfect.
You can put it in Rhino's Ziploc bag.
Yeah.
Don't you dare knock my Ziploc bags. They have been that's another tip. If you want to bring Ziploc bags for you, they don't just help with the weather. However, they help with if you ate a meal and perhaps you have some leftovers and you don't want to carry it. Ziploc. Boom. Put that muffin away for later.
This is not a sponsored video.
Anyway.
Yeah, if anything, I mean, really, you're using name brand on that. Ziploc, it's a name brand.
Well, I like to treat myself when it comes to that.
And see, I would recommend don't waste your money on that. Just keep going and riding Splash Mountain and getting free Ziploc instead.
So the next thing we have to say is maybe consider getting base tickets as opposed to hopper tickets. So base tickets can run anywhere from...
Well, they start at like $109 for a 1-day ticket in the low season. But if you add the hopper, you're adding anywhere between $55 and $75 depending on your length of ticket per person. So that adds up quick.
And honestly, I don't feel like you need them for every day you're there. Like if I'm going to go to Magic Kingdom, I'm probably not going to any other theme park because there's so much to do there, a lot of experiences. But maybe if you're going to Hollywood Studios and you feel like you're not having a full day and you want to add it for that one. But even then, I'd be like...
But you can't add it for only part of your ticket.
Oh, okay.
If you add a park hopper, even if you add it like day
you have to add it for the whole
day
thing?
6 of your 10-day ticket, it will add it for the whole 10 days. You have to pay the difference.
Oh.
So if you're going to park hop all and you know you want to, probably worth it. But if you're like, oh, well, maybe we'll start in Hollywood Studios. If we get bored, we'll go to another one. Skip another park and go to a resort pool day or something, and you're going to save a lot of money.
Exactly. And some days on the day, like maybe you're at Magic Kingdom, you want to be in the morning, but you want to stay for the fireworks, and that park can stay open a lot later than the other parks. You know, maybe you want a park where you only have the half day because you're like, at Hollywood Studios, my favorite thing to do is go to Baseline Tap House, see what they have, have a drink, take your time through that park, and then, before you know it, you're like, just give yourself that time to enjoy it.
The park hopping's really about what type of vacation you're looking to have. If you're the type of person that you have to eat at 10 different restaurants and pretty much exclusively to the parks, not even counting the resorts and Disney Springs, then chances are you need a park hopper because you're not going to be able to get every reservation that you want at all the marquee restaurants all in the same day when you're trying to plan with that that one park ticket. So that's a time where you need that. But ultimately, if you know you're coming down to budget, you can do it just one park a day. If budget's on your mind, you just do it because you have to. So just get in the mindset.
Another one that's fairly obvious, but we feel like it's a good option is staying off property. And that doesn't just mean like an off-property hotel. It means, you could be doing an Airbnb. Give yourself, I know it's not Disney World, but I did that at Disneyland on my one of my trips last year. And honestly, I even was like, okay, well, the average price of the hotel is about this amount of money a night. And so if I go with this many people, then it comes down to this amount of money a night. So I found a price somewhere in the middle so that I wasn't like, oh, I'm just in this really tiny, Airbnb. I went to one where that was a little nicer. It was more house. It had a pool. It had somewhere we could cook. And you'll be amazed at what it can do when you're going back to a house instead of a hotel or something like that. But also, there are some pretty good hotels that are not that far off property that you could just Uber or Lyft to, and
even the Disney Springs hotels are cheaper than most of the on-property hotels, and you still get to book your fast passes and dining reservations.
So you still get the perks there.
Another thing to consider too, if you're a businessman and you travel a lot and you
International
have Hilton
businessman.
points or different point systems through different hotels, a lot of those Disney Springs hotels take those points, and you can save that way. I know my cousin did that a little while ago, so.
That's smart. Yeah, that's a good idea too. And with that too, we've also said depending on where you live and how feasible it is for you, perhaps you should drive instead of flying. So obviously, flying. We get it. You only have so many days for your vacation, so driving does add in that extra time and takeoff time that might be in the park. But you have to think about it more like, is it adding more? Don't think about the driving as a chore, but as the experience, so make it a little more fun, stop places, or get a bunch of people together and just, switch off and drive, and you're there a lot sooner, and you split the cost of gas. It'll be significantly less than like a plane ticket, unless you get a deal with the plane tickets. But on average, it's usually less. And then you have your car here too, if you need it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I mean, I can speak from the experience of driving back and forth to Pittsburgh. I don't think I have ever, maybe like once when gas prices were really high and there was a really good deal on a plane ticket. I've never spent more driving on round trip than I would get for just one plane ticket flying into Pittsburgh Airport. So once you add one more person on it, it's instant savings. I mean, yeah, you're putting wear and tear on your car, but cars, if you take care of them like babies, they'll last you.
Okay.
Well, that was awkward.
That got a little creepy.
Kind of going along with that, though, we've also said that we think the best tip is to go with more adults because you can split that cost more. I get it. If you're you're a married couple, family with 4 kids, this is not really something for you. But if you're Steve and Michaela, you guys are married, you don't have any kids. If like
we have friends we could invite.
Right, yeah. I mean, maybe me. That would be nice, but whatever. But, you know, we get 4 of us in a car. Then we can also, like, rotate the driving. So everybody can drive, like, an hour and a half, 2 hours, switch, and not feel bad about it. And somebody can take a nap. You can, like I said, make the adventure out of it. But then you can stay in a nicer place, like a nice Airbnb. There are some right off of 192 that my friend and his family stayed in with his. He had like his sister had come down with her family for a little bit of the trip, and so they kind of had all split the cost. And it was this like 6 or 7 bedroom house with like a Frozen themed room, a Star Wars themed room. They had like a pool, a game room, and everything. And it was like I forget what it was, but it was like less than $200 a night. And I was like, that's crazy.
So I will say, you said, you know, it doesn't really count for people that are young families or whatever, but I kind of disagree. I think you can invite like grandpa or grandma and grandpa want to come, and grandma and grandpa want to pitch into the vacation. You know, not saying that you should.
Steve makes his grandparents work. I get it.
Well, I'm just saying, like, if that's something that you want to consider, I don't know, maybe consider that.
Grandpa, where's your money, you deadbeat? That's good. You know, they took care of you most of your life. They're at the end of their life. They should fund your vacation.
Maybe they want to be involved in the Disney vacation.
Yeah.
It's not just for their money.
No, but that is a good point. You know, you want to go with like your sister's kids and you guys all go together. You know, I recommend doing this like, because then you have more options. You don't just have to stay in the hotel. And I know some people like the resorts and that can be a part of the experience, but there are some really amazing, not resorts. I don't know what you call them. They're like Airbnbs, but they're like condo associations, and it's strictly like people bought these just to re-rent them. There's a place called Reunion that essentially has like a water park inside. I ran out of breath. Has a water park inside of it, but there's a lot of, and it makes a really unique experience. My friends, when they do the marathon, they all come down and split the cost, and they stayed in a house with a movie theater in it once.
Wow. Well, even
like a fake wow.
It was.
He wasn't listening to anything you said before
Even
that.
the suites at Art of Animation, you could have like, you know,
Yep.
if you just have a couple, if it's, you know, only a kid or 2, but the 2 parents or 4 parents, well, I can't say this.
Okay, some parents and
How
some
many parents?
grandparents with
Yeah.
some kids.
Yeah. All go in on an Art of Animation suite.
Yeah. Well, there you have it.
Took me a while to get that out, but
Well, there you have it. Those are our, it looks like 7 tips for helping you keep your Disney World vacation as inexpensive as possible. You've got go with more adults to split some of that cost up, drive instead of fly, staying off property, base ticket as opposed to a hopper ticket, pack those lunch and snacks, pre-buy some souvenirs, and the packing is key. Pack those essentials, leave space for the souvenirs so you don't have to check the extra bag if you're flying. But that will do it for this episode of The Best and Worst of Walt Disney World. Thank you guys for having this discussion. Thank you out there for listening and watching. If you are watching, please feel free to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and you can click that little bell. You'll get notified whenever we have more content go up there. And if you're listening to this, please feel free to rate and review the podcast on iTunes as well. Again, that'll do it for us. We'll see you next time with another episode of The Best and Worst of Walt Disney World.